So, how'd you become Holland's girl?
He poached you from one of the other papers? He got me a job when I graduated high school. I was working at a lunch counter down by the courthouse. He covered a trial the summer before my senior year. I got to know him pretty well, and so he offered to get me a job when I turned 18. Back then, just living through the day was an accomplishment.
Oh, I gotta watch this one, you know it. Welcome back to GMA3. That was a clip from Boston Strangler, a true crime thriller depicting the story of the trailblazing female journalist who broke the news of the Boston Strangler murders back in the 1960s.
Our next guest stars in the movie alongside Keira Knightley. You know her from roles in The Leftovers and Fargo. Please welcome Carrie Coon.
Carrie! Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. I so appreciate it.
So your character is based on a real-life journalist, Jean Cole, who alongside Loretta McLaughlin discovered the string of murders in Boston was the work of a serial killer. What was it like to be part of a movie that is based on real life?
Well, I love Jean's story. I mean, firstly, the most shocking thing about it is that these women had been entirely erased from the story of the Boston Strangler when they actually coined the term Boston Strangler. And they were doing some really innovative things. They were using psychological profiling at a time before that was even common to be done. And of course, there were no women covering crime in the newspaper offices at this time. So I love Jean's story. She was headed to nursing school, and a young girl, Frances McGrath, disappeared in her hometown, and she was working at the Pinkham's drugstore where all the reporters were. And she joked with one of them, Bob Court, about getting a job, and he got her in as a copy boy a year before the war ended. And she worked her way up. She never went to school for journalism. She just kind of studied and learned on the job, and she was an undercover investigative reporter for her entire career.
That's crazy. In so many ways, it was these women working in a time when women really didn't get the credit, especially in a newsroom, that unveiled all of this.
That's right. They made the connection. I mean, the men who were the gatekeepers were not paying attention to the story. They said there are a bunch of nobodies being killed. Also, they were called elderly women. They were in their 50s. And it was Loretta and Jean who warned the women of Boston that they needed to be careful, to lock their doors, to not let strangers in. And nobody else was taking the case seriously. It took women looking out for other women. And of course, they were good friends for the rest of their lives.
And you know, Eva makes a good point, because there's also a line in the movie where she says how many women have to die before this becomes a story. Sexism. Exactly.
And it's not like it's changed. I mean, femicide is at an all-time high all around the world. This is a country where you're most likely to be killed by your domestic partner. And it really, this is a love letter to female investigative journalism, because it matters who's telling the story. You know, it puts our society's focus on who we value, and women have to be telling these stories in order for them to be taken seriously.
And you know, we mentioned Keira Knightley stars in this film playing Loretta McLaughlin, who first connected the dots, of course, in the story. What was it like working alongside her, rather?
Well, the nice thing about Keira is that we're in a similar place in our lives. We both have 2 young children, and so it was really life imitating art, imitating life, because we were playing these 2 working women, trying to do everything well and kind of failing at it, while we were 2 working women on a set, each with 2 young children, not sleeping. And it was just so gratifying to have another mom across the table from me who knew what it was like every day to try to, I mean, again, who's doing this well is the question we kept asking ourselves every morning. And the thing, women are seeing this movie and they're really relating to the challenges of finding work-life balance. Maybe, you know, without the death threats, but I think everyone struggles with these questions.
Oh, for sure. Literally, my child woke up 30 minutes early. It caused total chaos in my house this morning.
Yes. And you have to show up and do your job as well as you can with no sleep, and you have to be a partner, and you have to be a mom, and you have to try to be really good at your job, and as a woman you have to be better at your job than any man.
You're right.
Thank you so much. And Boston Strangler premieres this Friday exclusively on Hulu. You can also check out the final episode of ABC's companion podcast, Truth and Lies, The Boston Strangler, today, wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a good one, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.